Hey, it's Kim, and today I'm participating in the Yes Please Papercrafts 5,000 subscribers celebration hop for Karen Yagel. And this is Karen's layout that I've chosen to scrap lift. And I have done some preparation already for this layout. What I am going to do is flip it. So my elements will be facing in the opposite direction to Karen's. I am just preparing some embellishments. So these are like some balsa wood hearts, and I am covering them with a glittery silver paste. And then I'm going, so once that dries a bit, which doesn't take very long to dry because you only want a very thin coat of this silvery glitter paste on the stars. And then I use some gold watercolour over that, and you end up with a really beautiful effect. So the silver shows a bit through the gold paint, and it is really, really pretty effect. So they are prepared, and then they can have time to dry while I prepare the rest of the layout. So just finishing that off now. What I'm doing there is I'm actually using the water brush to just absorb some of the excess watercolour paint that's pulled on top so that there's not too much sitting there. By taking it off with the brush, it doesn't remove the colour. The brush just absorbs the water up, and then I wipe it off onto the paper towel. Whereas if I used a paper towel to blot it, I would end up losing a lot of the watercolour paint as well. So I'm just hitting it with my heat tool so that they're not really, really wet, and they can just finish drying, as I said, as I put the layout together. The paper that's under my left hand is what's going to be the background of this layout. So it's from the Hip Kit Club September kit, which is what I'm using for this layout. So I had a video go up yesterday that was also using this kit, and it was a back to school theme layout. For this layout, I'm using the other part of the kit, which is more just a general life type theme that's in the kit. And so I'm scrapbooking a picture of my corgi. Now, Dexter is an odd sort in that he lies very strangely. It looks like he could not be comfortable, but he always lies like that. So obviously he likes it. And I snapped this picture of him. So his back legs face one way, his front legs face the opposite way, and then his head faces the same direction as his back legs. So he's quite twisted, but he does it all the time. So I really needed to document this, and you'll see from the finished layout that I end up adding quite a bit of journaling to this layout as well. So I'm just distressing the edges. You can't see me, I'm sorry, I'm off the camera, but I am lightly distressing the edges of these pieces. So I have the same elements that Karen has in her layout. I have gone for a slightly different sizing. So that bit that I was distressing there is the large banner that Karen has across under her photo, and then that yellow or yellowy green colour is the large piece that sits behind all of the elements. So I am using a wet glue to stick these down, and I'm going to leave it as a loose piece once I put this craft foam behind it. So the craft foam just pops the photo cluster bit up without adding a heap of weight to the layout. So it's very light. And I really like using it to provide the dimension. It's cheaper than foam adhesive. It's sticky on one side, so you do have to add an adhesive on the other. I just use wet glue, which works fine. And the adhesive on the sticky side of that foam seems to be really strong. So once I've got the photo cluster piece backed with the craft foam, I'm just going to leave it loose until I form the clusters at the top left and bottom right corners of the layout. So Karen has an element at the top and a decorative element at the bottom. And so as I'm lifting her, I'm also doing the same thing. So that piece is going to sit around about there, but I won't attach it down until I finish doing, as I said, this top and bottom element, so that I can make sure that that centerpiece is sitting in the right place. So I'm creating a cluster down at the bottom with some stickers and some pieces that I've cut from one of the pattern papers in the kit. And I'm also layering a couple of pieces of torn paper at the top of that. So Karen has a torn section out of the background paper at the bottom of her layout, and instead I've gone for this cluster, but I've used torn strips of paper to mirror or mimic that torn section. And now I'm just creating a little cluster to the right of the photo, and I'm popping up various elements with more of that craft foam. So that's just a little stamp type die cut that was in one of the die cut packs, and there's some really lovely flowers. So these papers and embellishments are actually Pink Fresh, so they're in the September kit, and they are gorgeous. I love the colours in this range. So this layout ends up coming together with quite a purplish, bluey purpley feel, with just those touches of that limey green yellow, and I really like this color combination. It's quite pretty without being too feminine. Then at the top I'm creating another cluster of layered paper elements, and a die cut and a chipboard sticker, and that's mimicking the longer element that Karen had at the top of her layout. And now I'm sticking down those little hearts. So there's going to be one at the top and one at the bottom cluster, and a couple on the center photo cluster. And just some wet adhesive now to stick that down. And that's going to be the end of what I've filmed. After filming, I have added in some enamel dots and some gold splatters, which you'll see in the still photos coming up, along with a picture of Karen's layout and my layout next to each other to show you those. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you press like. And if you're not already a subscriber, please think about subscribing to my channel. I would love you to join me again. As I said, here's the comparison photo and then some still photos of my layout. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye.